Welcome to our financial welcome to our financial empowerment webinar. My name is Chandel, also known as Delnick. I am a beauty professional with over 20 years of experience in the beauty industry. Over the years, I've learned that true confidence, it's not how you look, it's about how secure you are financially. I have come to understand that it's not how much you earn, but it's how much you keep and how well your money grows and where it grows. That realization led me to combine my passion for beauty with financial literacy, helping families build confidence inside and out. We are excited to have you here because tonight it's all about the transformation, transforming the way you think about money, protection, building wealth for your family. Here at our organization, World Financial Group, we don't just talk about finances, we educate and empower families to take control of their future. Our mission is to help you create protection, financial stability, long term growth, and ultimately generational wealth. Tonight, you're going to learn how to discipline yourself to save 10% of your income, the three rules of money that wealthy American families understand, the three financial goals you must implement to achieve protection, growth, and legacy. This isn't just about money. This is about changing your family's future. And with that being said, I will hand you over to my business partner, Dawn Baldio.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Good evening. Are you seeing me? Good people? You are seeing me? Whoa. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Delny. Thank you, Delny. I am so fired up this evening. I am fired up. In fact, we've got how much? How many? 25
About 25.
persons on. It's about 25. I think there are a few latecomers. But you know what? Where there are two persons or 25 persons or 225 persons, I bring the same energy to this. So I am welcoming every one of you on, thankful one that despite the weather, despite whatever is going on in your space, your family, you found time to be on the Fredericks Family Financial Empowerment webinar. And thank you, Delnique, for sharing this with me. And I am whoa, I'm raring to go to let you guys know a little bit more. The video, the what you heard early at the beginning, that gives us an opening. But before we go on, I always like to say, let's give thanks. So with 30 seconds, I'll give thanks and thank God that we are all here. Thank Him for keeping us safe in the weather, the blizzard, whatever it is. He's going to keep us safe. I have that strong faith. I have to because I can't solve the problems. All I can do is work with what He has given me for the best outcome. So I thank God this evening, all of us, that He has brought us here. And there must be a reason why we are here. There must be a reason. He has brought us here safely. He keeps us daily and He empowers us by giving us opportunities to learn. So I'm not a pastor, and I know they've got pastors in the house. So I am just simple me, just saying thank you, God, and bless this evening's presentation. Open the ears of all the 25 persons who are here so that we can make better decisions for our families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Hello, people. Can you see my screen? I've got it up here, the 10% 3 rules, 3 goals. When I first encountered this, I was like, what are you telling me? 3 rules, 3 goals. But money has rules. Money has rules, my people. Money has rules, my friend. And if we don't understand that, then we can work as hard as we can, 20 hours a day. And it's not so much about what we work for, but how we keep what we keep after what we have worked for and where we put what we keep. So it's all about priorities, all about our priorities. before we go on, I just want to share this with you. This laid heavily on my mind during the last couple of days. Just these two. Proverbs 13:22. It's not hard. It's not, we all have some amount. We might have strayed away. We might have done all kinds of things, but God is always in charge of our lives. And Proverbs 13:22 reminds us, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. It didn't say to his children, to his children's children. So that is telling me it has to go on. But it can't go on if it doesn't start somewhere. So when we combine our financial inheritance, and this is key, with wisdom, character, faith, all of these ensure that our next generation will manage their blessings God's way. So money is not bad. It's how we combine money with our lives, the importance to which we give to our money, and the way we treat with the blessings that God gives us. And we can only do that in part by using our faith, wisdom, asking for that guidance, and leave something behind for our children. Don't let's say, oh, they're big, they're going to take care of themselves. No, my friends, we've got to change that perspective. I had to change that. My parents left me with lots of good things, not money, but wisdom, some character, some faith. They left me with all those things. And Hosea 4:6 tells us, all the Old Testament, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Well, my friends, after tonight, none of us on this call is going to be destroyed for lack of knowledge. None. We do not reject knowledge. Don't reject knowledge. When we reject knowledge, we lose some of our spiritual leadership. We're responsible for our families. Gentlemen, you're responsible for your families. Ladies, you help as well as being responsible. And all of that, we can't reject knowledge. God's knowledge, what he has given us, what he has given some of us to be able to communicate to each other. If we do that, we lose our leadership, we lose spiritual leadership, and it has generational consequences. Believe me, we can be born poor in many ways, but if we choose to leave nothing, then that's a real serious problem. So let's try to understand what we need to know. There is nothing wrong with not knowing. I always say there's never a silly question. But when you learn something, when you open your mind to understand something, no one can take that away from you. So after tonight, let's try to understand the 10%, the 3 rules, and the 3 goals. Because money's got rules. And if you don't follow them, we're going to be in a bad place. So at the beginning, we have to have a savings discipline. And what does that 10% mean? It simply means that we pay ourselves 10%. 10% of our paycheck has to be in a savings, has to be saved, has to be kept. Because if we spend every last dime and praying, oh gosh, I'm waiting on the next paycheck, all of us have been there. All of us have to stop being there. Regardless if we work for $500, $5,000, $50,000, $5 million, whatever you work for, we pay our tithes. That's one. But we've got to save. We've got to save. And if you're not there, don't be worried. We're going to get you there. But you've got to be determined to get there. Now, when you have the 10%, what else do you need to do? You've got to understand how the money is going to be empowered. And how is the money empowered? Because of the rules. Compound interest, how it grows, and how it gets taxed. And let's forget this one, this tax thing. This tax thing is everywhere all the time. Now it's tax season, so don't even forget about it. But one thing I'll stick right here in the middle. When you get that tax refund, remember one thing I'll suggest to you, humbly, let's save 60% of that tax refund. Don't spend it as soon as we get it. I did last year. I paid part of my son's college education loans. So we're all tempted because we've got bills. We've got responsibilities. I'm not talking from a position of, yay, I've got it all together. No, 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 no. We get it all together by teaching everyone learning. So you save that 10% and it has to be compounded because that's the only way money grows. It has to be put in the right place. Why I say the right place? Because two things act against our money when we save. One, taxes, and two, Mr. Big Inflation. Mr. Big Inflation, whatever you call it, it simply means that your money can't buy now what it used to buy a few years ago. That's inflation for you. So we've got to put this 10% somewhere where it's compounding, and that's key. Compound is a big rule. I'll show you it. It's called Rule of 72, the compound interest rule. It means your money, you park it, don't touch it. It's not something to touch. Money that you're going to touch has to be called your emergency savings. And if I have time, I'll tell you a little bit about that. But this 10% is a deliberate, conscious decision that we make because we need to be responsible. Responsible for ourselves now, responsible for ourselves later, responsible for those little children that God has blessed us with, responsible for those big people that God has made us, or who we have to look after. It's responsibility all around. And the younger you are, take hold of that responsibility. You have a better chance. All right. The second rule of money is how it grows. Money grows in three ways. I'll come to that. And money gets taxed all the time. So before you get it, when you get it, after you're gone, money is taxed. Money is taxed. We can't get away from that. So in empowering our 10%, we've got to ensure that we put the money in a place where it grows at a rate which is high enough to compensate or to beat inflation and taxes. So in one sentence, that's the place we have to put our money. In a place that grows fast enough, high enough, safely enough, without the risk that it beats taxes and inflation. And why are we doing all these fancy things? To accomplish three goals. You might hear it by different names, but it's really to accomplish three goals. And remember, we are here tonight to understand, to clarify, to learn, and certainly not just to get knowledge, but to make knowledge work for us. I was taught one thing: knowledge is never an end in itself. It's an end to an action of improvement. So let's keep that in mind. Why are we going to do all these things? Save 10%, put it in the right place to beat the two things. That's what she said, right? Yes, you rehearse it in your mind. And why are we doing it? It's to accomplish three things. One, protect our income. We work hard. New Yorkers, New Jersey people, and everywhere in America, but I know those two places work real hard for their money. 1 job, 2 jobs, maybe 3 jobs. So you want to protect that income. You know why? Because your young years are your best earning years. The older you get, you can't take so many risks. Things might happen because things happen. God protects us all the time. And I live in that. I live in that grace every minute, every second, every day. But we know that the older we get, we can't run the 100 meters anymore. I can't. So we've got to protect that income. And we have to have something that replaces that income when we can no longer make that money. And then we have to obey the generational wealth concept. Remember, the Bible tells us, Proverbs and Hosea, they both tell us it's important. It's important to think about and to do something about. More than important to think, but to do something. And what we are doing there is planning that secure future. It's not impossible, my friends. Before I came to this country, you thought, oh, it's only, a certain kind of person can get wealthy. And we don't want to be greedy, but we want to be sensibly wealthy. Sensibly wealthy. So these are the 3 rules. The 10%, the 3 rules and 3 goals. And what happens next? Let me just show you the compounding interest thing. Now, I'll use this one. So what does the compound interest tell us? It's a special rule. It has a name. You don't need to memorize the name. Just understand how it works. It's called the rule of 72, and two things happen. It can either work for us or against us. When it's working for us, it means our money is going to grow. When it works against us, tell me an example when it can work against us. It can work against us when we don't pay off our credit card at the end of the month in full. That's when we're not being smart at all. So if the credit card balance is $2,000, my friends, and you think the minimum payment is 40 something dollars, and you say, all right, I got a long time. No, don't do that. That is crucifixion of yourself and your money, because that's where compound interest is working against us. The credit card company is going to charge you 29% on the remaining balance. They don't care. You pay your $40, you still got $2,959, and they're going to plop 29% on that. And whatever that comes to, the next month you say, all right, I just pay a little $100. No, that's crucifixion number 2. So that's where compound interest really kills us and works against us. We can't do that. When it works for us, it says, take 72 and divide it by the interest rate that we are earning on that 10% we talked about, and the answer will give us how long it will take for our money to double. So just think if this were our credit card balance, $10,000, and they're not charging 6% on the credit card, 29, my friends. So that thing is going to be so big and fat, we're not going to be able to handle it. So we are working, probably 6-figure income, all kinds of things. But because we are making the compound effect work against us, we'll have no money. We'll be marking time. When it works for us at 8%, it said 72 divided by 8%. This is how much we get, that interest that we want to get. And there are very few places you can get that. 72 divided by 8% gives you 9 years. So my 10% will take 9 years to become 20,000. It will take 18 years to become 40,000, 27 to become 80, and so on. Don't be confused by this. Just remember, compound interest has to work for us. And why? Because it is compounding. And why? We have to get the right rate. And look what happens if we don't get the right rate. For example, if you save $100 and we decide to put it in the bank, and everybody puts money of their money in the bank, no matter if it's 5 cents, we put it in the bank. But my friends, after tonight, be very careful and mindful where we put most of our money. Not in the bank. The bank does not give us returns that will beat what? Inflation and taxation. The bank does not give us that. The bank is giving us what they feel like giving us. So right here, let's say they give us 5% and they don't. Look at your statements that you get. Know for yourself. They give us 41 cents, which is 0.01%. But we still do it. We still put the money. We say we have savings account. So here, let's say we got a 5%, just for an example. This is an example. This is not reality. The bank is not giving us 5%. The only place that you can get 5% in a savings is those military people who have the Navy federal accounts. You can get that. But you have to be in the military or affiliated with the military. And there's another account, an online one, which can give you 4. But let's say they give 5. So you say, okay, my $100 turns into $105. But guess what? You don't get the $105. They tax the interest that you earn. They tax the interest that you earn. Who is they? The tax people. Who is they? The IRS. They have to run the economy, so they have to collect taxes. We have to understand how this tax works with our money and know where to put our money so that we pay less taxes quite legally, preserve our money, grow our income, get the generational wealth. We can get all of that, my friends. I used to be like some of you. I didn't know that. But once I know that, I'm going to tell everybody that I knew. I feel like I could hold their hands and say, just do this. Just save your money in the right place. Example continues. The $105, they charge you the 25% income tax. So, boom, they take it out of the $5. You end up with $103.75. But remember, I told you there was another thing: taxes and inflation. So, inflation is 3%. So, 3% out of my $103.75, I'm left with $100.75. Whoa, what a wonderful conclusion. The real rate of return on my hard-earned $100 is a massive 75 cents. Now think about this. If you had this for $1,000, $10,000, you'll be so happy. Oh gosh, I got $10,000. But question to always ask yourself: is my $10,000 in the right place? I know there are probably different age groups on this call. I am not sure. They could be your 20-year-olds, your 30, your 40, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, whatever age you are at. Money is affected by taxes and inflation. So we've got to be very careful where we put our money. Now, if we put our money here in the bank, as I mentioned earlier, our money is safe. You can be sure that you're putting money in the bank unless it's some, I don't know, whatever it is. But 99% of our banks, they are federally insured and they're safe. But your money is not growing. Your money is not doing anything for you. Hey, your money is not doing, my friends. It's not doing. But we got to work with the bank, I'm not saying we push the bank through the window, but we have to be mindful how much we keep there. Don't be like my 63-year-old friend from New Jersey who told me 10 years now. I said, my brother, where you putting the money? Oh, it's in the bank. They always calling him. Why they calling him? Why they calling him? Because they want to do something with his money, but he ain't doing nothing with it. And he's right not to listen to what they're going to suggest, because what they're going to suggest is this. They're going to pop his little money, and it's not little anymore. My problem is, he's from the same place that I came from. And my problem is, he told me he ain't trust nobody. I said, that's all right. You don't trust your daughter? He wasn't so sure. So we all got our challenges, but we have to find a solution for our challenges. Our challenges, which would improve ourselves. Self-improvement is important. How do you get self-improvement? By deciding to get some more information, by asking God for more wisdom, by asking Him to show you what to do. So, some people would say, all right, let me put the money in the Robinhood. That's what the young people tell me. I have 2 sons, right? So I know about the Robinhood thing. They tell me it's doing good in the Robinhood, and then some mornings they don't speak at all. So I said, you're in a bad mood. No, not really. The thing gone down. All right. What gone down? Their good money has gone down. This is the variable way how money grows. Remember I said money got rules. Money has rules. It grows in one way, a second way, or a third way. This one, it's safe, but it's not going very far. This one, it's growing fast, but it could also run away fast. It could also disappear fast. It could go down fast. And when it goes down in the stock market, and when I say stock market, I mean, I know there got some young people, they say, oh, we know about EFT, we know about mutual funds, we know about all those things. All those things are the same family. They are variable products. They're in the stock market, but they got a lot of risk. So you can get tons of growth, but you can get tons of headache. And when you get tons of growth, guess what jumps into play? 2 things jump in again. Taxes. So when your stocks grow, the growth on that gets taxed. It's called capital gains tax. Don't worry with the name. Just know that your money that grows here gets taxed. Your money that grows here gets taxed. Your money that grows here is 0 or nothing. This one, it growing plenty, but it's a lot of headache. But it also gets taxed. So you want something over here, which 99% of people don't know about. And in our community, I would say many, many persons, or if those know, some of them, they keep it to themselves. There's nothing good about keeping good knowledge and good information to yourself. It makes no sense, my friends. Everybody who's on here tonight, and I know there are some winners on tonight, and I will bring them on in a few minutes, just to show you that they made the right decision. I know they're on. But for others who are not yet understanding indexes or how it works, you have to make sure that you put that hard-earned 10% in a safe place and a place that grows. In a safe place and a place that grows. And that's in an indexed account. Why it's called index? Because it has two characteristics. One, it can grow uncapped like here, but when here falls, it is safe. It has a floor. So it's two words to remember from indexation. Anything which is indexed has a cap, uncapped, or it can be uncapped. And in the product that we have, in the education that I share, I would always strongly urge people and recommend that they use a balance uncapped. As of right now, it's the best choice. Why? Because you get the best return high all the time. And when the stock market goes boom, 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 as it can do, we can't stop that. It's called adjustment. Our product in an indexed bucket, our money, our 10% in an index bucket is protected by the floor. The floor, my friends, the only word you need to remember here now. Index, floor, growth, uncapped, taxes, zilch. Isn't that what we want? We want no taxes, we want growth, and we want to beat inflation. And here you can do that. Here you can do that. The floor here in this diagram is 0 because look, it goes up, stock market goes down, but this doesn't go, index product doesn't go down. It's a boom across here. It goes up, it doesn't plummet here like the stock market over here. Variable, variable. Whenever you hear that word variable, stop a minute and say, I wonder what they're talking about. They're going to tell you all kinds of things. Variable, changeable, little bit of risk, all kinds of things. But it's not. It's risky. It's risky. There is a role for this here for very, very wealthy people. But for us, we need to have some amount of indexed product. If you want to play around with the stock market, no problem. I mean, we all do that, you know. But don't expose all your money here. And certainly don't leave all here, because this ain't growing, this growing, full of risk. But right over here, you've got the uncapped growth and the protection of a floor. It's even better in some parts. In one particular case, the floor is not 0. The floor still grows. The floor still grows. It grows by 0.75%. I'll show you a diagram in a minute. I'll show you a diagram after I tell you about the awesome taxation. Because remember, I said taxes and inflation are there all the time before we are here, when we not here, when we're gone. Taxes gets us. Taxes will get us. So the tax now bucket is the bucket in which we find our checking account or savings account or CDs. A lot of people, they know about CDs, and that's a good thing because it shows your thinking. But always say, if I can be good, I can be better. If I can do good, I can do better. And that applies to financially as also. So, but when you have money here in your savings, your CD, your stock, your mutual funds, your ETFs, all AFTs, all of that here, they get taxed right now. Right now they get taxed. As soon as you sell that stock and you make some money, boom, they take the taxes. As soon as you save your little money, although it's 0.001%, they tax that too. In the example, they tax the $5. They took out $1.25. Then there's a tax later bucket, and a lot of people are in here. A lot of us, we drank this like the Kool-Aid. We said, oh, we're ready to roll. We got this job, and we're rolling, we're fired up, we're starting the job. So we signed the document, 401k, 403b, 457, TSP, those are the main ones. This is the retirement bucket. It's called tax later. My friends, just understand one thing about this bucket. I am not saying it's a bad thing because it is a retirement bucket. But listen, you don't pay the taxes now in this bucket. You pay the taxes when? Later. I know when that later is 59 and a half. And you know why they choose that age? Because that's the earliest for the retirement, and that's enough time for your 401k contribution to grow, to become a nice fat soursop or mango. When you're popping in those monies into your 401k, 403b, or the 457 or your TSP every fortnight, guess what? You don't get taxed. As a little 25-year-old told me 2 nights ago, but you don't understand, I carry home more money. I said, yes, son, I know you carry home more money, but that's the now for now thinking. You also want a thought process which leads you to think a little for later. He's 25. He's a far way, by the grace of God, from 59 and a half. And he popping money like rice into his 401k and tell me he want to max it out. I said, you know what? We're going to talk another time. Because he had exhausted me after an hour. In the 401k, one little thing I'll say, or your 403b, it's not bad. But if your employer is not matching you dollar for dollar, be careful, dollar for dollar. So when they say 3%, you don't go 5%, 10%. This nurse lady in New York tell me the husband tell her he home, he ain't working no place, and he telling this lady 10%. She's 48. I said, so who tell you this? She said, my husband. I said, you know, we can talk a little later because I don't want to be disrespectful. Why would he doesn't know, and he's encouraging this woman who working early morning, late night, all shift, round the clock, making good money, and she's putting 10% into a 401k, the amount of tax she's going to pay, both of them going to cry. So 401k, good, it's a tax later bucket, but only stay with the amount that your employer is matching. If your employer is not matching, let's have another conversation. Let's have another conversation. I can't have individual conversations on this webinar because I love the Frederick Family Financial Empowerment webinar. So I can't have an individual conversation with everyone on, but we can have a conversation because we got to make sure we do the right thing with that 10%. Now, tax advantage bucket, this is your Roth IRA. This is not bad. This is not bad, but it has limits. It has limits. And you still got to wait for that age thing, 59 and a half. Let's suppose you wanted to use some money at 40. What are you going to do? You're going to break your 401k. They're going to penalize you, the 10%. They're going to make you pay all the taxes, which is about 30, 40%. What are you going to do? You still in trouble? Now, for those who want to save for their kids, and I am one of those, well, not now, thankfully. I'm paying loans right now. Because I didn't know better before, but I want you to know better. 529 is good only if, one, the child or children, they go to college. Well, thank God, I'm thankful that both of mine went. Yes. But secondly, when I filled up that FAFSA, I had to put down my income, whether I earned it in America or somewhere else or all around the world. I had to put that down, every last dollar. And I had to put on the fact that 529 existed. And guess what? When you have to put that down on that FAFSA form, listen carefully, parents of children who are about to go to college, or better yet, if you're planning for them, and I know you have the ambition, you want them to go. Be careful. Because when you put that down there on that form, which you have to by law, you are considered, I like to call it, I am too poor to pay college by myself, but I'm too rich to get all of the grants that are offered. Imagine that. I do it with the best will in the world, but I am too poor to pay all the money with my 529, because if they go to a high-paying college, you sometimes don't manage it. But I'm still too rich to get what is giving away or what is offered federally. But if I had had a cash value life insurance, well, executive bonus are for those business people on the call. We can meet separately, talk about this. This is awesome. This is where you you save your money in the right place, you provide for your retirement in a tax-free way, and you're able to charge that cost to your business. Isn't that awesome? And when you charge the cost to your business, guess what happens? You pay less taxes. So, but we'll talk separately about that because that will take a little while. Cash value life insurance. This is where we have to have it to achieve our income protection. Remember, we're not doing action for action's sake. Every action has to have a reason, a rationale, a success. So we are doing it to protect our income, to replace our income, and generational wealth. And what better place to start than when we are younger? But don't be, saddened if it doesn't meet you in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, or even your 50s, and it meets you older. For those older persons on the call, I'll just say something. Always think about, and it doesn't have to be an old person, anybody who's sensible. Once we understand how this environment works with the taxes, we all have to have a will and a trust. I'm not going to go into it in detail, but I'll tell you one little thing. A will is the foundation of any estate plan. It's not only for the wealthy, it's to avoid confusion and is to help that generational wealth to be properly managed. I will answer the basic, what happens if I die? None of us, don't be afraid to ask us, to say that. I just interjected that because it's important to know that taxes affect everything, now, later, before, everything. And a trust is important because it's about control, the privacy, long-term planning, both during our life and afterwards. And why? It doesn't go through the probate court. I'll talk more about that another time. That's more of a legal matter. But you need both. We all need both. I don't yet have both. I have one. I'm working on the other one. But we both need that. And you know what? You don't have to be rich to have these things. You have to be thinking. You don't want taxes in your space when you are no longer here. You don't want your kids, your grandkids to be facing all sorts of confusion. So we had the 10%, the rules of money, saving that 10%, understanding the 3 rules, which are compound interest, understanding how it grows, and understand, because it grows in different ways, fixed, variable, and index, and understand how it's taxed right away, little later, and not at all. And who doesn't want to be taxed? Who wants to enjoy no taxes? I know I do. So I'm going to try real hard. But it starts with my 10%. It starts with putting my money in the right place. So with the growth, I want compound interest at the right rate of return to be high enough, and I said that before, to be high enough to beat taxes and inflation. But I used to do some teaching in my another life, at another level, different kinds of levels. And so I believe in reinforcement. So we want our money to grow at the right rate to beat, who are the 2 devils? Taxes and inflation. And we want this information to be conveyed to our children too, It's not for us alone to learn. When we learn, we got to teach our kids. Teach them simply. Teach our teenagers simply. That's the only way this is going to make a big difference in our generations. We want also to grow our money safely. So not the bank, my friends, because it's safe, but it ain't growing really. Not the stock market, because it's growing, but it's all over the place. We want it in indexation, index products, INDEXED. We want to be in a tax advantage vehicle so that our money will work for us silently. And we want to have protection. Does our bank account give us protection? No. Those goals that we talked about, income protection, income replacement, generational wealth, does our bank account give us that? No. Our bank account is a sum of money. Even if it's $500,000, even if it's $1 million, it's badly positioned. So we need, if we got $1 million, Let's reposition that $1,000,000. If we work and we save to have $500,000, let's reposition it. If it's 50,000, if it's 10,000, let's be careful how we position that kind of money. So this is not for rich people. This is discipline for every one of us. It's also for rich people because rich people know this. All of these things are grounded in the tax codes of this country. All. Nothing I'm saying here is made up stuff. They're all in the tax codes. The 7702, the 72, they're there. They're there. What we need to do is to take a minute of our time, and I know you're on the call taking a minute of your time to understand how those laws transcend or are transferred into actionable items. And this is how it's actionable. So we get protection in what? In the stock market? No, we don't get. We're risky there. Do we get protection in our 401k? No. It's a lump of money at 59.5, which you take whether you like it or not. Or they give you time until you're 73. And then whether you like it or not, you're going to have what they call a required minimum distribution. You got to take the money. Why? Because they got to collect their taxes. And who is they? The IRS. And what do we want to do? Ensure that we work within the fabric of the laws which everybody has access to. Understand it so that we are protected and we pay less taxes. So what gives me protection? What protects my income? What creates an asset? What protects my life? But God protects my life, that's for sure. So it's not meant to be said in that kind of way. My income is important for my life because it provides a way of life for my family. And if bad things were to happen, which I pray they don't, how do we cover if we get sick? Our bank account is not going to help that because it's just going to go like water. The only thing that protects us in one strategy is what they call this. I'll show you it now. The IUL. Index Universal Life. You see these same, I call them pillars. They were in my last slide. Look, let me show you. This strategy achieves the 10%, 3 rules and 3 goals. And where is it found? Right here. Specifically right here. It's growing, as I said, uncapped, 113%. And I had a friend of mine ask me, show me, Don, show me it grew. And I had to ask my SMD, Odetta. I said, yeah, just send me that, show me how it grew. And so I got a snapshot and I shared it with him and his wife. And they said, oh, okay, they're good. Safety. Is this safe? Yes, because of that FLOOR I said to you earlier. When the stock market goes down, this does not go down. It stays at a floor, which is not zero. I'm still growing at 0.75%. And my money is growing. Tax, what? FREE. This is a medium to long-term strategy that responsible people need to put in place for themselves and their families and their young kids. Protection, yes, I get that. But to get it, I have to apply for it. It's like you want a scholarship, but you don't want to take the time to apply for the scholarship. How in the name of the Heavenly Father will the people know that you got the qualifications to get a scholarship? When my kids were applying for college, we ain't got time, we're going to do it tomorrow. I said, listen to me. I said, if you want this scholarship, you got to sit down and apply. I said, because we wouldn't have the money to send you anywhere. Because you have to apply. And I know there are some wonderful people, and I'll give them a shout out on the call before I go on to my next slide, that they understand this. They understand this, and they have done this in the Fredericks family. I think there are Debroy and Winnet, his wonderful wife, Pastor Debroy or Delroy. Delroy?
Yeah, that's Pastor.
Debroy? Yes.
Let me put on my video so you can see my face.
Wonderful. Thank you, good people. I got you. You got me too. You got me.
Wonderful presentation.
Ellie, of course. She said yes. I said, Lord, did I write the name down correctly? Okay, wonderful people, and your wonderful wife. We have our spiritual leaders on. This is where we need to plant good seeds in our mind, seeds in other people who don't yet understand. I'm trying to work with a men's group and a church. So the pastor is saying he's doing a mission abroad. He said as soon as he comes back. So I asked them, I said, could I come to the breakfast? They said, no, it's a men's breakfast. But pastor will invite me to do the presentation. So yeah, so wonderful. These two wonderful folks here, Delroy and his wonderful wife, Winnet, they understand how this works. They understand. They may not have understood everything. When I heard it first, I said, I don't understand everything. But guess what I understood? I understood that if I could get myself some more education and certification, I could tell people this thing. I could educate the community, whether they be young adults, families with young children. I may not get through to everyone, but I feel better that I get through to some people. So what I did, I joined first just for the education. And with the education came my understanding of this. So although I am pretty much older, wish I knew this 25 years ago, I did. I applied. So thank you, you wonderful folks, Pastor and your wife, Winnet. Thank you. So people on this call, we have folks who understand. And they understand that you also review these things. These are not things that are set in stone. You start it and you review it. Because if you don't fund it, you could lose it. Hey, you apply for it, you get it. That's the first step. So thank you. Thank you. I'll just continue with my slide. Thank you, Delny. Is everyone seeing the slides?
Yes.
To show you this variable, the variable, that's the stock market. I just want to show you a 20-year performance because people don't believe, Doubting Thomases, they say, oh, we don't know. Well, I say, all right, take a look at the figures. You don't believe me? See it. So someone who had 10,000 in a variable account, this is what happened to them when the stock market went down in 2008. It went down by 28% almost. They lost $4,000. I know I don't want to lose any money. I mean, I got that in the first place. So how am I going to lose it? Work too hard for it to be lost. So, but in the index product, which he has, and he's 97, just retired, active full-time, he said, no, my index product goes up by $100, 0.75%. Is that not better than getting a loss of 28%? I mean, yeah, it's obvious. Then look again, in 2022, I lost 10,000, the stock market went down, the variable bucket went down by 10%. I lost, what did I lose? Almost $3,000. $3,000 I lost. But in my index bucket, guess what? I grew by $400. You might say, oh, that's no big deal. It is a big deal, my friends. There is a big deal about growing and not losing, about gaining and not losing, even if the gain is small in times where the loss is big. You heard that? Even if the gain is small, that 10% that I parked, I got to get it right. I got to get it in the right place. So, isn't it better for it to grow by the $400, grow small rather than lose by 10%? Come on, I don't have to tell you that. You know that. Remember the 4 things. Remember, money has rules. I said to you what the rules are. You understand that. The next thing is that you have to know whenever you're putting your money anywhere, you get growth, safety, tax advantage, and protection. And because the rules of the country, they facilitate that in an IUL, which is insurance. Don't be afraid to say the word. Say it out aloud. It's a good word. If the right decisions are taken about this word, it's not for killing you. It's not for dead people. It's to grow your income, to beat taxes and inflation. It's to give you protection in your earning years. It's to offer you protection if anything, God forbid, were to happen. And when you do it for this group, these beautiful children, this is my favorite group. This is my favorite group. Every time I wanted 8 children. And the staff who worked with me, they said, Miss B, do you have a fever? You're feeling well? I said, why you say that? They said, well, we don't want to come and see you at the madhouse. So I'm Guyanese. So they didn't want to come and see me at the Berbice madhouse. So God knows, I ended up with 2 boys. But I still always visualize 8 kids. Maybe I'll get 8 grandchildren. I'll be so happy. I'll pop them all in juvenile IULs. Eyes closed. No thought. Just put them there. Because when they are this small, don't doubt me. I'll show you the example quickly. We got a few minutes. I know I've got to work with time. But let's create our $1 million babies. Let's give them $1 million. Why? Because when we start them young, you hear me? Start them young. Why? Money needs time to grow. Money needs time to grow. That's the first rule. That's the most important thing. It needs time to grow. And when they're 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, whatever, 2 months, it's growing. And guess what you're putting as parent or grandparent? Nothing much. Some throwaway money, $100 a month. $200 a month I'll always put forward. But if you start to say, oh God, it's hard for me. No, don't worry. Put the $100 for them. Better yet, if you are retired and you're drawing down some money, put $1,200 to them. You know what you're doing for them? You know what you're doing for them? They have $1 million before they're 50 years old. And well, look at the smiling face. I mean, you can't go wrong. You're building a future for them better than we had, better than you had. Isn't that what we want? For them to stand on our shoulders. Remember the biblical scripture at the beginning, it said we have to transfer not money only, but wisdom, values. Those are things which are important to manage money. So we've got to ensure that they don't blow the money. They create that sound generational platform going forward because we started them early. They get lifetime protection. They're locked in. They're locked in. And they get tax-free growth. Look at the example. I'm going to show that one first because time might be running from me here in my presentation. And please, all you beautiful people on, how many of us? 29 of you. Please pop your number and your telephone number and your email, especially your email, in the chat so that my good friend here and business partner, Delnique, she can take those notes. I don't leave that for the end because I know time is running out. I know how to write in exams. When you know the time is running out, you put on the notes quickly on the question paper. So when they say clocks, pens down in 5 minutes, I just write quickly what I had written down. Yeah? So let's get that going. Make sure that you communicate with Delnique, or Chandel, all your name, your questions. You got more questions for me? I'm willing to answer them. I can't answer them now, but I will answer them. Let's look at a mail on the one. And this is something I did very recently. And look at this. $100 a month is $1,200 a year. And all the way I kept him there. And I said to the father, I said, come on, you can't put this boy at $100 all the time. This is craziness. So at 16, I'm projecting that if he said, okay, and I know they could put more money. When you can put more, because it's growing. It's tax-free. They have protection. It's safe. What more do we want? 4 pillars. 4 pillars. Come on, my folks. Let's get this right. Other people get it right. Let's get this right. The banks get it right. The banks got tons of these IULs. Tons. Billions. Why do they have it? taxes. What do they charge us on our credit card? A big fat 29% compound interest. They are working all the rules of money in their favor. What is wrong with us learning and working those rules for ourselves? Ourselves. Look at this 1-year-old. So the father put the money, because it's the dad I was talking to, and when he became 26, we said, all right, put a little 300. Look at him here. Look at him. At age 45, he has almost $400,000. And it's going to be more than that, because I'm doing this illustration at 7.25%. There's always a caution. Never try to show more than something which is what they call prudent. So, but the reality, remember in the first one of the slides I showed you 113%, that's the real growth. But I won't show you that because that's wrong professionally for me to just show you that high figure. But look at him, 1-year-old, 45, he has 400,000. Forget about the death benefit. He ain't dying. At 50, he has $500,000. And guess what? Look at him here. At 60, 59, 60, he got $1 million cash, all his money. What did he do all those years? Started at 1-year-old, save 100, 100, 100, 100. Then they save 200, 200, 200. Then they save 300. That is only an example. This young man or any young person, and they go to college and they do all those things, they're going to save more than $300. So, and in the right structured IUL, they will have the $1 million earlier than what I have here. But I didn't put more. I said start 100, run to 200, bump up to 300. And that's it. And they're not going beyond the age of 65. No. When you start at 0 age, 1 year, you know, by its age, you need to start enjoying your money. And if you put more, there are other things which I can tell you so you can do even better. You can do even better. Now, I can't go through the example with the 35-year-old except to say that this 35-year-old female, she put 10%, remember the 10% of her $60,000, which is $6,000, and per month divided by 12, $500 a month. So the 35-year-old, a good place to be would be to save $500 a month in an IUL. What does that give her? That gives her at age, I'll tell you, at age 70, because she started at 35, so we keep her contributing the 500, you know. She might have earned more money over the years. She probably put more. Because at 35, she hadn't peaked in her career or professional life. She could have earned more. But I kept her at the $500 a month. And she has $600,000 cash at age 70. And if anything happened to her, she covered $1 million. You see how my 1-year-old friend far better than this? You see why it's important to start young? He had $1 million long before this. Cash. Cash. For a little bit of money. So, without me stressing on it anymore, this is your IUL. It gives you all of this, the 4 pillars. And do you want to continue to be an unorganized or an organized family? Take 5 seconds to think about that. I can't give you more than 5 seconds. Do you want to continue being an unorganized individual, an unorganized young family, an unorganized older family? Or you want to become an organized family or individual? What you're going to do? It's your choice, your decision. I can't make you do it. My role is a humble one. Very humble. To teach you, to explain to you, to do it again if you want me to do it again. But at the end of the day, you can't take long to decide because time and tide stops for no man, waits for nobody. The tide is going to come in whether you can swim or you can't swim. The time is going to grow every year, whether you make your decision or not. Prevarication is the costliest thief of time. Procrastination, sorry, not prevarication. Prevarication is a lie. Procrastination is the costliest thief of time. So let's try to be the organized person, the organized family, wherever life meets you. Wherever life meets you. I spoke about wills a little bit. I refer to that. If you're someone from the church, understand that you bring leadership and vision. and for your church to continue to give the word of God to the people across the state, across the world, wherever you're preaching from, across your town, your street. That leadership and vision has to be protected. And you can do that if you have an IUL. I can't show you it here, but you can do that. It's easy like peasy. It ain't hard. To me, if I understand a subject and I can't communicate to you, then I have not learned. It must not be difficult to communicate with someone. So it's easy for our pastors. It's easy for the church. I'm almost there, almost done. Don't let's scream. It's 7 o'clock. So the unorganized family, you don't want to continue to be, you have no income protection, you have no income replacement, you have no generational wealth. And I kept this, I stole this slide from Johnny, and he is awesome. So he was the one doing the at the beginning of it. So when you continue being unorganized, you will have financial challenges. If anything bad happens, you lose time in the thinking process, which is costly. Everything has a price. There is no free nothing. So when you delay on a decision, you're costing yourself. You're costing your family. Yeah? Let's be careful. When a young man I know, he was 25, he didn't have type 1 diabetes. When he's 26, 11 months later, or less than 12 months later, that's what he got. That ain't a good thing. That breaks my heart. So be careful with how we waste time. And you can face major tax consequences if you're not protected. Remember, you don't have money in certain things. Anything goes wrong, probate court. Probate court. That's big money, big thing. Remember Chadwick Boseman? Made billions. You know what happened? 2 years it took him for his wife and child just to get a miserable 1 point something million. You know how many millions he made? You know who has his millions? The IRS. Because he didn't have a will and a trust in place, and he had no IUL. So on that note, let's make sure we become organized, we protect our income, we replace that income, 10%, 10, 3 rules, 3 goals. That's where we started, that's where we end. So our family never faces challenges. We don't face the challenge. Start young. And we build that source of income, we protect that asset, and we reduce our tax consequences in future. My good people, that's it for tonight. I know we've got to finish like pronto, so back to you, my good friend Delnique.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Sorry, we are short on time. With this closing, I would just leave protect your family in private so they don't have to be embarrassed in public.
Amen.
So
Yes.
remember this, protect your family in private so they don't have to be embarrassed in public. So with
So
that being
become an
said,
organized family. That's right.
yes, I would like to thank everyone for taking time out of your Sunday evening to join us. I hope this webinar brought you great value and you will implement whatever is learned. Please feel free to reach out to me. I have put my cell phone number in there and Dawn's cell phone number, and look forward to hearing from you guys. So enjoy and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone, for being on. You're an awesome audience. I didn't get to see enough cameras, but you brought me a lot of good vibes. So thank you for being on.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Good evening. Bye.
Bye.